We're looking at percent increase and decrease today. We're dealing with percents. You didn't do a lot with percents last year, so this is kind of new for a lot of us. What's really nice about percent increase and decrease is there's really one way to find all your increases and all your decreases. In order to find it, your percent increase or your percent of change is your new amount minus your old amount divided by your old amount. What's really nice about finding the percent increase and decrease is you have this to find your answer. There's not a whole lot of like looking around and figuring out what means what. You take your new amount, subtract your old amount, and then you divide it by your old amount. That is what we are going to be using to find a percent of change. You do not have to write down what I write down next. Sometimes you're going to see it written a little bit differently. I'm only going to show you so that it doesn't throw you off. Some places say that the percent of change is the amount of change over the original amount.
Oh, that makes sense.
This means the exact same thing as this. The amount of change is just the difference between the new and the old. The original amount is the old amount. Sometimes you'll see it like this. Just don't let it throw you off. It's really the same thing. All right, let's look at a few examples. Yes. So we got a job. We're making $15 an hour. We get a raise. We go from $15 to $21. In order to find our percent of increase, because we're increasing from $15 to $21, we're going to take our new amount, which is $21, subtract our old amount, and divide by our old amount. Long time no see? Yeah. Hold on, let me. All right, so we take our new amount minus our old amount divided by our new amount or old amount. All right, so in your calculator, if you put that into your calculator, you'll get it wrong. If you put that right there into your calculator, you'll get it wrong. Why will you get it wrong? Emma?
Because you divide it first and then divide it.
Excellent. Your calculator is order of operations, so it's going to do the division first. But you might remember when we talked about order of operations, we have to do whatever's on top first and then divide. So what I would do the top and hit equals. That gives me the answer to the top part, and then divide it by 15. That gives me 0.4. To turn my percent into a decimal, I move it, or turn my decimal into a percent, I move it 2 places to the right, which makes it 40%. So now we have a 40% increase. Let's say we're traveling home from someplace. And we are going from 80 miles to 15 miles. So we're decreasing 80 miles to 15 miles, but we're going to find it the exact same way. New minus old divided by old. So I'm going to do 15 minus 80, get my answer, then divide it by 80. Gives me a super long decimal, negative 0.8125. I'm going to move it 2 places to the right. 81.25. That negative means that it's a decrease. That decrease means we're going down. So it's an 81.25% decrease. Yes, ma'am. The zero, no, that zero does not have to be there. No. It's kind of like when we talked about distance and we said that like below sea level, do we write it as a negative or do we not? If we're looking at just increase or decrease, as long as we have the word decrease, we don't have to have the negative sign. The word decrease means that it's going down by that much. A negative would also show that it's going down. It's the way that our problem is worded if we put a negative or not. So let's say you're going from 8 shirts to 17 shirts. We're increasing. Find your percent increase. Anybody think they found it? Brad, what'd you get? 17%? Brady?
112.5%.
Anybody else get that? Oh, looks like a lot of people got that. Let's see how we did that. We used the same formula, the new minus the old divided by old. So we're going to do 17 minus 8 gives us 9. We divide that by our old amount. So we get the answer 1.125. A lot of people, when they see that, they just put a percent after it because that looks weird that there's a decimal inside the number like that. But we do the exact same thing for every single one of these. We got our decimal, moved it over. We got our decimal, moved it over. We get our decimal, we move it over. So it's 112.5%. And in fact, I would maybe even round that up to 113%. Both of those are correct.
Well, mine keeps saying it's only 13%. Or like 1.13.
Yours might be rounding.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a setting on the calculator. You might be set to. 113%. Is it possible to have more than 100%?
Yeah.
Seems weird, doesn't it? 100% of 8 shirts is 8 shirts. So if I add 100%, I would have 16 shirts. But I've got more than 16 shirts. So I've got more than 100% increase. I've got 113% increase. This part is added on to this section. Taxes and discounts. So we got $25, and we're going to increase it by 10%. The first thing I have to do is find 10% of 25. 10% of 25. 10% to change our percent to a decimal, we go the other direction. 1, 2 in the left. So 10% is the same as 1/10 of means multiply 25. So I'll do 1/10 times 25 gives me 2.5. And because it is an increase, I'm going to take my $25 and I'm going to add my $2.50, 2.5. So when I do that, I get $27.50. There's a trick to finding percents. 10%, you just move the decimal over 1. So if you want to find out what 10% of 2.5 is, all you have to do is move the decimal over 1 because there's 1 0. So you move it over 1, so now it's 2.5. I've got 160, let's say, apples. There is a 20% decrease. Find out how many apples are there now. You've had a minute to look at that. Brad, what'd you get? Got 8. That's not what I got. How many apples are there now? Hi? Excellent. I have to find 20% of 160. Brad, how do I find 20% of 160? Got to multiply it. What is 20% as a decimal? Yep. Times 160. And when you do that, what do you get, Brad? If you multiply this times this, yeah, you divide it. $32? $32, all right. And now because it is a decrease, we have to take our apples and decrease by 32. And when we do that, we get 128 apples. And remember our trick, 10%, I move it over 1. 20%, I move it over 1 and then multiply by 2. 16 times 2 gives us 32. That's a real quick way, like if you're at the grocery store, or if you're somebody, or if you're somewhere and they have a discount. If it's like 30% off, move your decimal over 1 and then multiply that number times 3, and that'll tell you how many dollars off it'll be. Let's do one more problem. You don't have to copy down that whole thing. A backpack that normally sells for $39 is on sale for 30% off. Find the amount of the sale price. All right, so you guys have had a minute or two to look that over. Emily, what did you get for the sale price? Hold on. Emily, what'd you get? Kayla, what'd you get? $27.30. That's what I got also. So it sells for $39. It's on sale for 30% off. So it's 30% off. So it's decreasing by 30%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find 30%, which is 0.3 of $39. If I multiply 3/10 times 39, I get 11.7. So it is $11.70 off of the original price. So now I take the original price and I decrease it by $11.70. When I do that, I get $27.30.